And the final thing we'll be exploring in this module is how you can harness ChatGPT to generate ideas and text for your blogs and other content. So let's start by understanding what ChatGPT is. So it's a form of artificial intelligence, and GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. Essentially, this type of intelligence generates text in response to prompts that you give it. So essentially, you type in a question or a request, and it will generate text in response to what you have requested. It's extremely important to understand that the response ChatGPT will give you is only as good as the prompt you give it. So the better the prompt, the better the response. So what are the capabilities of ChatGPT? As I just mentioned, it can generate text. So you can essentially ask ChatGPT to write almost anything for you, whether it's a blog or an article, an email, social media posts, or something as big and long as a brochure. It can also summarize long copy into short copy, and this comes in handy if you've got a great big piece of research that you need condensed, or you have lots and lots of information that you need to reduce down to only highlight the key findings. ChatGPT can help you do this. It can also answer questions. It has access to information on search engines, so it's able to answer almost any question you give it, but there are some limitations. From memory, and it says this on the ChatGPT site, I don't believe it can find accurate information after 2021. So there are timing limitations in terms of the responses and the accuracy that it can give you. And then it can also translate text from one language into another. So I guess it almost acts like a new form of Google Translate if you are trying to turn content in one language into a different language. All technology has its limitations, and so I think it's just as important to understand what ChatGPT can't do. So because it isn't human, ChatGPT can't do things beyond text generation. It can't think creatively, it doesn't have critical thinking abilities or wisdom, and it doesn't have emotional intelligence. So this means that the responses that you are getting from ChatGPT are purely logical and informational. And while the program can identify the sentiment of text, so it can identify whether a piece of text is positive or negative, I don't think it accurately conveys really in-depth tone of voice. And for that reason, I wouldn't rely on it to write all of your content without it being thoroughly proofed and edited. It's also important to note that ChatGPT can produce inaccurate responses, and this is why it's essential to have a proofer and an editor and a champion of this platform when it's being used within your business. So how can real estate writers and property businesses harness ChatGPT? Well, there are a number of opportunities, starting in the idea generation process. And I think sitting down and generating ideas for blogs or other types of content, or even generating ideas for headings and subheadings, is a place where some writers and content creators can get really stuck. And so having ChatGPT do the legwork for you is extremely helpful, and then you can just go in and edit and tweak those content ideas and certain words to meet your needs. In the situation where you have a rough idea of the topic that you want to write about for your blog or other piece of content, you can ask ChatGPT to create outlines and frameworks for you, and that will help you to save time in terms of understanding what you're going to write about, what topics you're going to cover, so you can spend less time in the ideation process and more time in the writing process. In the situation where you have already written a long piece of content and you want to cut it up into shorter snippets for social media, email, or other forms of content, you can ask ChatGPT to do this for you. And once again, this is a time-saving exercise where you don't have to write all of the individual social media posts from scratch, but once again ensuring that you go in and proofread and edit so that it meets your needs and requirements. And finally, in the moments when you don't have time to research extensively on a topic, you can ask ChatGPT to compile that information for you so that when it comes around to writing a description or writing a blog or other piece of content, you have all of the information there and you can just edit it all into place. There are a number of ways that you could benefit by incorporating ChatGPT into your content marketing processes. And the first is saving time when it comes to writing, briefing, and researching your content. But you may find that you need to dedicate a little bit more time to proofreading and editing this content to ensure that it adheres to your tone of voice and that it's also covering the right topics. This could also lead to increased efficiency and a maximized content output. If you're saving time when it comes to generating these ideas and generating the basic text, you may find that you've got more capacity to edit and then publish this content. And finally, there are great benefits to harnessing intelligence to spark ideas. I think humans are capable of so much creativity, and we have so much wisdom that exceeds what artificial intelligence can do, but there is such a great benefit to using ChatGPT to help us get those ideas and augment them even further.